After regretfully leaving Kyrgyzstan in search of better roads, we were now in Kazakhstan for the second time.
And it was extremely exciting riding along the Kyrgyzstan border going through all the desert.
Yep. So we went, basically just followed the border towards Uzbekistan. So on the screen, as we were planning out this route, it looked like it would be a really easy week. But in reality, it turned out to be probably the second most grueling week of our trip. Only after Xinjiang, of course. It was so insanely hot this week. Like, heat of over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 40 degrees Celsius if you're European watching this. And it just really, really wore on us by the end of the week.
So to deal with the heat, we were starting at 4 a.m. every day, so that's part of what piled on the fatigue for us. It was the heat and the starting super early. But starting early, it was cool. It was 50-something degrees in the morning. It was glorious. Because the areas that we were riding through were really remote, the rides also started getting longer, so starting early in the morning helped to get us done before it was too god-awful hot, but it was pretty much unbearable by the time we were finishing every day.
Needless to say, it was a rough week. Kyrgyzstan, you were beautiful, but your roads just suck way too much. You had to cut me out early.
So our first day riding back in Kazakhstan was a short ride from Tokmak back to KORDAY. And it was an interesting one. The border crossing was nice and easy. Kazakhstan really doesn't care.
Yeah, Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan are like best buds. They really don't give any hoots about people crossing back and forth. At least they didn't about us.
Yeah, at least as Americans it was
Yeah.
easy going to Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
But the end of the day, which wasn't very far, I was pretty tired that day. So we made it short and we stopped and found a little crappy hotel in the middle of town. Didn't really look like a hotel. And we were surprised by their lack of amenities, to say the least. This was the point where the hotel quality started going to crap. It was no AC, no fan, and 100 degrees outside.
Yep.
And we asked the lady that was in charge.
A very, very classy lady.
Yeah, if they had a fan. And I saw one in there, and she told me no.
Yeah.
And then, so we sweated out for like 4 hours through the heat of the day. And then at about 6 o'clock in the evening when it's starting to cool down, she brings in the fan that I had already seen. Thank you, lady. And proceeds to tell us she's going to charge us for the use of this fan, which she held not to give us during the rest of the day.
Yeah.
While she was sitting in a different room in the AC that she didn't offer to give us. So yeah, classy spot, but glad to be out of there.
Yeah. Needless to say, we paid the lady for the fan because we just really needed some sleep.
Yeah, we weren't gonna sleep even without the fan.
Yeah. So leaving KORDAY, we had two options. It was 150 kilometers to the next actual town. But Justin looked on the map and he said, well, there's a river at like 50K that we could camp at, provided there's actually water in the river, because a lot of the rivers that were marked on the map did actually have water in them.
Yeah, no, a lot of rivers were empty.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the desert.
Or we're not even there. Like, there wasn't even a riverbed on some of them.
Yeah, so not really wanting to ride 150K, which is close to 100 miles, in the searing 100-degree heat, we were like, all right, we'll ride to this river, we'll check it out. If it has water in it, we'll stop and camp there, even though it's only 50K away. So we rode to the river. It was about 10 a.m. by the time we arrived. There was actually another cyclist down there fixing a puncture, which was crazy.
Yeah.
He was a local guy too. So that was kind of cool. He really couldn't speak English, so we didn't talk to him.
Couldn't speak to him.
Yeah, I didn't talk to him that much. But lo and behold, there was glorious, fresh, cold water, and parts of that river were even deep enough to swim in. So we were totally stoked, and we're like, yeah, we're definitely like stopping here and camping for the night.
Because at 10 o'clock, it's already blazing hot.
Yeah, we were already ready for a swim. So we walked around in the brush. There really weren't many trees, but...
There were no trees.
Yeah. But we found a spot to pitch our tent, and then we waited. And we waited, and we waited, and it got hotter and hotter. And we both really wanted to take a nap, but we were literally like sweating.
It was too hot to take a nap.
Yeah, like sweating all over our sleeping pads in our tent. And we finally just said, screw this, and literally just went and sat in the river until the sun started to go down.
And the sun started to go down at about 8 o'clock at night. So we spent probably 10 hours waiting on it to get cooler.
Yeah, so this is when we made the decision to basically just go back to what we did in Southeast Asia, where it's too hot to camp. Because we were miserable for like probably 8 hours that day.
So the next day we rode to MERKI, which was about 100k away, through the desert. Getting up at 4 and starting at 5:30 or so.
Yeah.
We were catching sunrise, which was real nice.
Yeah, the sunrises in the desert were gorgeous. That was the best part.
Yeah.
How do you know you're in the desert? When there's tumbleweeds everywhere.
Yeah, it was mostly a flat bunch of nothing day.
Yeah.
Got to about 90k and it was time to get off the highway, and we rode off into town, and then they were tearing up the road. It was like gorgeous brand new pavement, and then the whole road was gone and it was gravel, gravel, gravel into the middle of town. So I don't understand how they do roads around here, but it was bumpy. But we did get into town eventually and found us another place with no AC and no fan.
After an early night, we had a very early morning because we had a monster of a day today. Almost 100 miles to TARAZ, which is, funny enough, actually the city that we were supposed to cross the border out of Kyrgyzstan into Kazakhstan on our original route, but we made it just a different way. Alright, we're getting an early start this morning at 5:15 because we got a long ride today. 150k to TARAZ and pretty much nothing in between. So we're gonna give ourselves as much time as possible before the midday heat hits to make it there, because it gets up to over 100 degrees here by the afternoon. So hopefully we can make it by lunchtime. We'll see. It's just starting to get light out. Alright, 100k down, 50 more to go. And we're pretty much out of water, so really it's 20k until the next water stop. Well, that was convenient, not but 300 meters down the road we found a place we could fill up our bottles. Perfect. Good to go. Alright, we made it through the city gate. We're officially in TARAZ. We were very hot, very exhausted, very, very hangry by the time we got there because, once again, no food. We stopped for lunch in TARAZ, like just into the town limits, because we were very hangry and starving.
Yeah, and we said we'll have whatever he's having. And it was the most glorious plate of starches and meats.
It was like 4 starches.
You can imagine. We had rice, we had potatoes,
Yep.
we had pasta,
Yep. And bread.
and bread,
Yep.
and chicken.
Yep.
And it was great.
And some sort of sauce.
Yeah.
That was it.
Spectacular. All starch.
Yep. Which is fine when you've just ridden 100 miles.
Yeah, it was perfect.
It was great.
And it was cheap.
We rode around until we found a hotel and we asked the people specifically, do you have air conditioning?
And Wi-Fi.
And Wi-Fi. And we finally found one that had both and we were like, we will take it. But after finding such a glorious, glorious hotel, we pretty much crashed there for the next 2 days and spent the next 2 days pretty much sleeping in the air conditioning.
Yeah, enjoying the air conditioning.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
So the next day's ride out of TARAZ, when we finally left, was a few Ks of flat and then up the mountain.
Bye-bye, Taraz. Back out through the other gate.
And we went up the mountain and then it flattened out a little bit and then we continued up the mountain. But it was nice. It wasn't a bad climb at all, not too steep.
Yeah, it was a really nice climb.
The last 200 meters was over like 20 kilometers, so it was not steep at all.
Yeah, and there were really nice views. Like we could see the really big snowy mountains that we weren't going over, thankfully.
Yeah, when it was nice and hot, it's really strange looking at snow up on the mountains.
It was such a tease.
Yeah. But the ride that day was actually nice. We crested over the hill and then had this beautiful descent down into TYPAPA, however you want to say it. We were riding through town looking for a hotel and I saw one. We found one on the map, but it wasn't
Actually there.
Yeah. I was just looking for something that looked like a hotel, and Kara's not very good at finding these places. I looked, it's like,
Apparently
this big building looks like a hotel. I'm gonna go in and ask.
Hey, I'm really good in China at finding these places. Any other country, don't ask me.
In China, they're labeled.
I know.
Very easy to find. But yeah, this one, not labeled at all. Walked in, it's like, is this a hotel? I was like, sure.
Sure, it is if you want it to be.
Sure, yeah. I don't know if it was a hotel or not, but it was cheap.
They had rooms.
They had rooms, they had AC. I think it might have been like a boarding school at one point or another.
Who knows?
But yeah, it was nice.
So today we rode to SHYMKENT, and it was really pretty uneventful, just a short, like 60-kilometer ride. And I think probably the most eventful part was apparently me getting stung by a bee, like right on the neck as we were coming into town. It hurt like a mofo. It hurt so bad. But I survived. It was fine. It was fine. Yeah, we got to SHYMKENT and got to enjoy the amenities of a bigger city, aka a really nice hotel room with good air conditioning, hot shower, and pizza for dinner, which was awesome. So leaving SHYMKENT, we were treated to the most epic sunrise, like one of the most epic sunrises I have ever seen. One of those ones where it's not only like a colorful sky, but there were clouds just like perfectly placed so that all the light rays were like bursting through the clouds. It was incredible. And after that, there was pretty much nothing to show for the rest of the day. Literally, it was just like hot desert grassland nothingness. We didn't see anything worth filming or talking about. No horses, no camels, no mountains. Just really not very eventful.
So on the last day's ride in Kazakhstan, we were leaving the town, whatever that town was called. Don't remember. And we were going along. We were about 25 Ks in. I was thinking, we're like 25K away from where we're going to turn and go to Uzbekistan and have a nice, easy day. But then we come up to a sign that says road is closed and a huge mound of dirt across the road. I don't know what the hell they were doing. And so we had to follow a detour. And the detour added an extra 30 kilometers to the ride.
Yeah, that was quite the detour.
15 kilometers north and then across and then 15 kilometers back. Yep. And it was all garbage ass roads. Yeah, I wasn't telling Kara how much farther it was until we got most of the way around it.
Yeah. So needless to say, our perfectly planned 100 kilometer ride turned into a 130 kilometer ride, which was way further than we really wanted to go and put us like way into the heat of the day by the time we got to the border crossing. Hi, pretty girls. Hey guys! Hurry up, Ortiz! So, by the end of this week, we were basically as close to miserable as we've ever been on this trip. And we were pretty much at a point where no cyclist or bike tourist ever wants to find themselves, which is, we were pretty much dreading getting back on the bike each morning. Just another day of long, hot, boring, just nothingness.
Yeah, it wasn't so much dreading getting on the bike as it was dreading getting on the bike at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. And
riding in miserable heat.
We were trying to decide what we wanted to do for Uzbekistan because that was another, 1,500 kilometers of desert that we had to ride through?
A whole bunch of desert.
Yeah. And so we were both kind of sat down and just spilled the ugly truth, which was neither of us were really having fun riding through the desert. So we decided that we would ride another 2 days past the border to Samarkand, where we would stop, buy train tickets, and take the train all the way to the Caspian Sea.
Yeah. It also wasn't especially safe riding through the desert when it was so blazing hot.
So hot and so far between.
Yeah, the town started getting even farther apart.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the meantime, we would spend a couple days exploring what was supposed to be a really vibrant Silk Road city of Samarkand, but that will be for another video. So for now, we will leave you at the border of country number 7, Uzbekistan.
People, and you can see Maya and Sun.